the heart of the East African savanna, where the red earth stretches endlessly and the acacia trees claw at the sky. A gentle wind stirs the silence before dawn. The village of Enkai lies quiet, nestled against the foot of a rocky hill, its maniatas, rounded huts of mud, dung, and stick, standing like ancient sentinels in the pale moonlight. It is not yet morning, but movement has already begun. Inside one of the huts, a woman named Nalepo awakens. Her bones creak as she sits up, not from age, but from the weight of a life carried with dignity and strength. She wraps herself in a faded red shuka, the cloth worn soft from years of wind and sun. Her movements are practiced and quiet. She stokes the fire in the hearth until it glows, casting orange shadows that dance against the curved walls. In the corner of the hut, her son, Lemeon, sleeps curled on a mat of cowhide. He is 10 years old, but carries the gaze of someone much older. Life in Enkai does not grant children the luxury of prolonged innocence. At precisely 4 a.m., Nalepo places a gentle hand on his shoulder. She does not speak. She doesn't need to. Lemeyan opens his eyes, blinking away the remnants of sleep, and sits up in silence. Outside, the sky is still black, pierced by thousands of stars that seem to pulse with ancient knowledge. In this village, surrounded by wildlife and wilderness, the stars are not just light. They are ancestors, watching from above. Lemeon dresses in a school uniform, 2 sizes too big, handed down from a cousin who now works as a mechanic in Narok Town. He slips on sandals with cracked soles, worn so thin that they barely keep the thorns out. Nalepo places a steaming gourd of uji, thin maize porridge, into his hands. He drinks it slowly, savoring the warmth, knowing it may be the only thing he eats until dusk. By now, other huts are stirring too. Mothers like Nalepo prepare their children, whispering blessings and ma, and feeding goats as the village awakens to a reality shaped by both hardship and resilience. Smoke rises in thin ribbons from thatched rooftops, joining the mist that drapes the land like a veil. The morning is not peaceful. It is sacred. Outside their hut, Lemayan meets with his neighbors. Naserian, a quiet girl of 12 with eyes like storm clouds, and Tepilit, a boy whose laughter is rare, but whose feet never falter. Together, they begin their daily journey. A walk not of meters, but 60 kilometers through unforgiving terrain. Their school is far, hidden across rivers, and beneath canopies of tangled trees. As they set out, the savannah stretches endlessly before them, cloaked in darkness and the unknown. The dangers are not imagined. These lands are home to lions, whose roars sometimes rumble through the night. Hyenas track scents with patience and precision. And when the seasons shift, elephants migrate through these same corridors, their massive forms shaking the earth, sometimes peaceful, sometimes not. But Lemayan does not hesitate. None of them do. Because education here is not simply about books. It is a lifeline, a chance to step beyond the boundaries of survival and into a future that their parents could only dream of. The children walk quickly and with purpose. Talking is minimal. Energy must be preserved. The only sounds are the shuffle of feet on dirt, the distant call of birds, waking with the sky, and the rhythmic thudding of hearts, too young to bear so much weight, yet too determined to surrender. Every step forward is a victory. Every mile covered is a quiet defiance of the obstacles laid before them. And yet, this journey is also beautiful. As the sun finally begins to rise, painting the sky with streaks of orange and gold, the savannah awakens. Zebras move in herds across the golden grass. Giraffes stretch their long necks to the treetops, and warthogs dash across the path, tails upright like flags of mischief. Lemayan sees it all, not with fear, but with the awe of someone raised in the wild. He knows how to read the ground, how to recognize lion tracks, how to freeze when he hears the crack of a branch behind him. He walks this path, not just as a student, but as a guardian of knowledge passed down through blood, through song, through fire. Back in Enkai, Nalepo watches the sun rise and closes her eyes for a moment. She prays, not for an easier life, but for the strength of her child to endure what the day may bring. Because in this corner of the world, before a single chalk mark is made on a blackboard, before a pencil touches a page, there is already learning taking place. It is the education of endurance, of survival, of walking forward even when the path is long and the outcome uncertain. And so, in the sacred silence before the world fully wakes, Lemayan and his friends continue onward. Tiny warriors of the dawn, carriers of hope, children of the sun, walking toward their future. The savannah awakens slowly, stretching beneath the rising sun like a sleeping giant stirred from slumber. Its beauty is deceptive, breathtaking and brutal, golden and unforgiving. For Lemayan, Naserian, and Tepilit, it is the path to school, but also a trial of will. This is not a road marked with signs or paved with safety. This is the wilderness, a living, breathing entity with moods and dangers of its own. By the time they reach the forest's edge, the sky has shifted from indigo to a gentle blue. Sunlight filters through the tall trees, dappling the red soil with light. The children enter the jungle single file, instinctively aware of the silence that now surrounds them. Their chatter dies, their senses sharpen. Here, the wild is not just seen, it is felt. The air becomes thick with the scent of damp earth, bark, and distant danger. Twisted vines hang like serpents from the branches. Monkeys chatter overhead, rustling the canopy with their mischief. Occasionally, a bush bug darts through the undergrowth, startled by their presence. But these are not the threats the children fear most. It is the stillness that warns them. The lion moves like a shadow in the tall grass, silent and regal. Lemayan knows what to look for. He's been taught to notice the absence of birdsong, the frozen posture of a gazelle, the unnatural pause in nature's rhythm. Those moments are not silence. They are signals. Signals to hide, to wait, to pray. Only months ago, a boy from a nearby village was attacked on this very route. He had wandered from the group, curious about a trail of feathers. What followed was not spoken of in detail, but his absence still echoes in the footsteps of every child who walks this path now. But still, they come, every day, because the fear of wild animals, as real and visceral as it is, does not outweigh the yearning for what lies at the journey's end. A classroom, a teacher, a dream. Elephants are another danger, especially during the dry season, when water is scarce and temperatures are high. A herd once blocked the trail for an entire day. Lemayan and his group had to hide in a hollow tree for hours, cramped and breathless, until the elephants moved on. One of them, a massive matriarch with cracked tusks, lingered near their hiding place, sniffing the air. They had been lucky. Today, as they cross a dried riverbed, they see fresh tracks in the dust. Rounded, deep, unmistakably elephant. Naserian stiffens. Tepilit glances back. Lemayan steps ahead, his eyes scanning the bushes. But no giants appear. They continue walking. As the sun rises higher, the heat begins to press down on them. The sandals that protect their feet are thin, and every stone, every thorn is felt through the worn rubber. Sweat drips down their temples. Dust clings to their clothes and lashes. Their legs ache, but they press forward. Hunger creeps in silently, like another predator. Breakfast was light, more a ritual than a meal, and now their stomachs rumble. Lemian sucks on a pebble, an old trick to fight thirst and distract from emptiness. The taste of metal fills his mouth, but it helps. By midday, the landscape changes again. The forest thins. The horizon flattens. They are getting closer. They can see the outline of the school roof, small and distant like a mirage. But their pace slows. They are tired, not just from walking, but from the weight they carry. The emotional weight of danger, of knowing that a misstep could lead to something permanent. The psychological weight of knowing that this journey must be repeated every single day for years. And yet, not one of them turns back. They stop briefly beneath a baobab tree, its thick trunk offering a small shadow. Lemeal leans against the bark. He closes his eyes for a moment, imagining what it would be like to fly, like the lilac-breasted rollers that dart above them in flashes of color. To float above the land, to see everything, to be everywhere. Free. But dreams here are earned step by step, not given. As they approach the school, its shape becomes clearer. A modest building, with cracked walls and tin sheets for roofing. No fence, no playground. Just space and sunlight, and the promise of learning. Children from other villages arrive too. Some barefoot, some limping, all marked by the journey. Dusty, hungry, but with eyes that shine. This is not a normal commute. It is a daily migration, a ritual of bravery, a silent vow. The head teacher, Miss Nchama, waits at the entrance. She sees them arrive, limping, exhausted, but smiling. And she feels the same mixture of pride and sorrow that she feels every day. Pride in their courage. Sorrow for the world that demands such courage just to sit in a classroom. The bell rings, and like that, the children of Nkai take their seats, open their books, and become students. But make no mistake, they were already learners before the first word was spoken. The savannah was their first classroom. The walk, their first lesson. The sun is now high, its heat dancing across the tin rooftops of the school like flames licking metal. The land is dry, cracked like old skin, and the only shade comes from the slender trees at the compound's edge. The school stands simply, no walls to protect it, no painted gates to welcome, just a building of resilience, where knowledge blooms, slowly, stubbornly, like a wildflower growing between stones. Inside the school, Miss Nchama, the head teacher, wipes the dust from her desk with a cloth that has long since stopped being clean. She does not teach for money. There is little of that. She teaches because she believes. She believes in children who walk 60 kilometers before the sun is fully risen. She believes in futures carved from hardship and rewritten by courage. Ms. Nchama's own journey to the school each day is no less demanding than her students. She travels from a town miles away on a motorcycle with a fuel tank she cannot always afford to fill. Some days she walks too, boots caked in red dust, eyes scanning the landscape for signs of danger. She has become used to the watchfulness required to survive here. A few weeks ago, while approaching the school gates, she heard the heavy thud of footsteps behind her. Turning slowly, she met the stare of an elephant bull, its ears flared wide, its body still as stone. Between her and the school was a standoff she hadn't prepared for, but she stood firm, whispering the prayers her mother taught her. The elephant, after a moment that stretched like rope, turned away and vanished into the brush. There are no emergency buttons here, no fences, no security teams, just instincts and the will to protect. Inside the school, the children sit in rooms with crumbling walls. There are no shelves, no books stacked neatly. The floor is bare, the blackboard cracked, the chalk brittle. But they are learning, and more importantly, they are present. The school library is little more than a room with a few battered textbooks and hand-copied pages bound together with string. Yet, it is sacred. When Lemayan enters, his footsteps are soft, as if walking through a shrine. He runs his fingers over the worn covers, even if he cannot read all the words inside. Books here are treasures, not tools. In the classroom, Miss Enchama begins the day's lesson. The students echo her words like a chorus, their voices strong despite their fatigue. Nasrian sits upright, her spine straight with pride. Tepilit frowns in concentration as he tries to copy a sentence from the board. Lemayan, still hungry, bites his lip and presses on. They do not ask for pity. They ask for pencils that do not break, for chairs that don't wobble, for a room that keeps the rain out when it comes. These are the dreams they dare to speak. The rest, the deep dreams of becoming doctors, pilots, engineers, those they keep inside, where they are safe from disappointment. During break time, there is no cafeteria. The children gather beneath trees, sharing bits of roasted maize, or nothing at all. A few sip water from tin cans. Others chew on sugar cane if they are lucky. Miss Enchama walks among them, checking on each child, not just their progress, but their hearts. She knows who didn't eat this morning. She sees who limps from yesterday's walk. She notes the girl whose eyes won't lift from the ground. Because in this school, teaching is more than lessons. It is life work. And yet, there is joy. When the English lesson begins, laughter rings out as they pronounce new words, with accents molded by their mother tongues. The children laugh, not because it is funny, but because they are proud. Because every sentence learned is a step closer to a future beyond this village. Every word is a door. Ms. Enchama sometimes stays, long after class has ended, reading by the light of a smoky lantern. She reviews the children's writing, her heart swelling with every improvement, every attempt. She dreams too, not for herself, but for them. She dreams of shelves filled with books, of electricity in every classroom, of a proper library where imagination can grow wild and free. She knows that each of these children is a miracle, not in the way stories are told in books, but in the quiet, enduring sense of surviving every day when the odds say they shouldn't. She has seen too many drop out because of hunger, too many vanish after an attack on the road, too many girls married off because the walk was too dangerous and the family too poor. But every child who remains is a promise, and every teacher who stays is a guardian of that promise. Later in the afternoon, when a dust storm rolls in across the savannah, rattling windows and turning the sky grey, Ms. Enchama closes the shutters and keeps teaching. Her voice must rise above the wind, and it does. Outside, the world may rage, but inside, there is learning. There is hope, and there is the silent, unbreakable commitment between teacher and student. You walk to be here. I stay to teach you. Together, We build a future. By mid-afternoon, the sun has taken its place high above the plains, merciless and unrelenting. The once golden grasses of the savannah now shimmer under the heat, brittle and dry like parchment. Even the birds have gone quiet, seeking shade beneath thorny trees. But in the quiet village of Enkai, a quiet force continues to stir, an invisible flame that burns not in the body, but in the spirit. That spirit lives in children like Lemayan, whose steps are slower now, whose lips are parched from hours without water, but whose eyes remain fixed forward. The classroom has emptied for the day, and the long journey home looms once more. This daily rhythm of miles walked before and after lessons has etched itself into his bones. But hunger today is louder than usual. Lunch had been skipped. The school had no food to offer. The small government program meant to deliver meals has long since fallen behind. There are too many mouths and too few resources. So Lemayan walks with nothing in his stomach but determination, a hunger far more enduring than anything food can fill. Behind him, Nesrian moves quietly, clutching a small stone in her palm. It's an old tradition, pressing the stone against the tongue to distract from thirst. Her face is calm, but her knees tremble with each step. The weight of the school bag she carries, filled with 2 worn books and a pencil, feels heavier than it should. Beside them, Tepilit watches the brush carefully. He has grown used to reading signs. The sudden flutter of startled birds, the eerie stillness of the air, the snapping of a branch. He knows these warnings. They are the whispers of something wild. And just beyond the tree line, hidden in the thick undergrowth, those whispers become very real. Because this is lion country, and the lions, unlike the children, are never hungry for long. The government has erected signs in some areas. Caution, wildlife crossing, as if lions obey warnings. But out here, the jungle doesn't play by human rules. Paths vanish into overgrowth. Trails split unexpectedly. The landscape shifts like a living thing, constantly changing, never predictable. Just a week before, a child from a neighboring village disappeared. No one saw what happened, but his school bag was found near a game trail, torn and stained. Since then, mothers have tied small charms, made from beads and dried herbs, onto their children's clothes. Blessings from elders, meant to keep spirits and beasts at bay. But even blessings must walk beside fear. The children speak little as they pass the familiar stretch where the tall grass thins. It is an exposed area, where danger is not hidden, but brazen. Lemayan quickens his pace here. He has memorized the sounds, the crunch of dry earth, the cry of hornbills, the hiss of wind through tall stalks. Any variation, a silence too deep, a sound too sharp, could mean something watching. And yet, they keep moving. Because in this world, fear is not a reason to stop. It is simply another companion on the journey. Back in the village, mothers gather outside their homes, gazing down the horizon with hearts clenched. Nalepo stands among them, shielding her eyes from the sun, searching for her son's silhouette. She cannot accompany him. Her days are filled with tending livestock, fetching water, grinding maize. But she counts each morning's goodbye as a leap of faith that Lemayan will return before the stars do. She remembers her own childhood when the nearest school was even farther. She never made the journey. Her education was traded for chores and cattle. But now, through her son, she reclaims that lost opportunity. His struggle is her redemption. When the children finally return, the village breathes again. Feet dusty, shirts soaked in sweat, faces hardened, but not defeated. They come home. And yet, even at home, there is no rest from struggle. Food is scarce. The drought has been unforgiving. The animals are thin, the crops barely sprout. Lemayan's dinner, if there is one, might be a handful of boiled greens or a mug of fermented milk. Some nights, just water and sleep. Yet, not once has he refused to walk. Not once has he said, "I am too tired." Because what lies on the other side of that walk is more than school. It is the gateway to something bigger, something sacred. During the night, as the wind picks up and hyenas cackle in the distance, Lemayan lies awake on his mat, eyes open. He thinks about the teacher's words from that day, a story about a scientist from Nairobi, a dream planted, a spark lit, and even with hunger gnawing at him, with scratches on his legs from thorns and fear still lingering in his chest, he dares to believe. Because survival here is not just about staying alive. It is about believing in the possibility of more. The children of Enkai are not just students. They are survivors, fighters, and visionaries, learning not only from books, but from every thorn on the path, every shadow in the forest, every growl in the night. This is the spirit of survival. Not loud, not dramatic, but steady, unyielding. The sky turns amber as the sun begins its descent behind the distant hills, casting a golden light across the savannah. Long shadows stretch like ancient fingers over the dusty earth. The wind grows cooler now, brushing gently across the cheeks of children returning home, tired, hungry, but whole. Lemayan walks slowly now. His legs are heavy from the day's journey, his back sore from carrying his school books, and his lips dry from the long hours under the sun. Yet, there's something in his eyes that no exhaustion can erase. A quiet light, the kind that burns in people who have endured, the kind that says, "I have survived today, and I will return tomorrow." The village of Enkai glows in the fading light. Fires begin to flicker once more as mothers prepare evening meals, or what little they can scrape together. Smoke winds its way upward into the darkening sky, like a prayer. The cows have returned, their bells clinking softly, their thin bodies a mirror of the land's hunger. At the edge of the village, elders sit in a circle beneath a wide fig tree, their eyes closed in thought, their hands wrapped around carved walking sticks worn smooth by time. They speak of the rains that haven't come, of the animals that have moved deeper into the reserves, of the world changing too fast to keep pace. But then they look at the children, filthy with dust, eyes bright with something ancient, and they nod. They know the children are not a burden. They are the answer. Inside their homes, children like Lemayan sit on woven mats, trying to remember their lessons before the day disappears completely. There is no electricity, only oil lamps and firelight flickering across their faces as they mouth English words, repeat math problems, or draw letters into the dirt with fingers hardened by work. And still, they learn. They learn that education is not just a dream, but a tool, sharpened by sacrifice, wielded with endurance. They learn that books can open gates, that knowledge is power, and that power, even in small villages, far from cities, can shift destinies. Lemayan dreams of being a wildlife ranger. He wants to protect the very animals that haunt their journeys, not out of revenge, but out of understanding. He dreams of standing between humans and beasts, not with fear, but with knowledge. Nasserin dreams of being a nurse. She wants to return to Enkai one day and treat the sick without requiring them to travel miles. She wants to deliver babies safely, soothe fevers, stitch wounds, and bring healing in a place where hospitals are hours away. Tepilit, though quieter, draws in the dirt outside his hut. Houses with walls, schools with playgrounds, roads with lights. His dreams are in his hands, sketching futures no one else can yet see. And while their dreams vary, they all rise from the same soil, from the same struggle, from the same song that hums low beneath everything they do. The song of tomorrow. This song is not sung with instruments. It is played by footfalls on dusty trails, by pages turning in dim light, by the sound of chalk on blackboard, and of stomachs that growl but do not win. It is a song made of resilience, carried not in melodies, but in the marrow of children who choose the hard path every single day. It is the same song that fills Ms. Nchama's heart as she walks home in the twilight, her bag heavy with papers to mark, her spirit heavier with the hopes of the children she teaches. She knows not all will make it to high school. Some will be pulled into early marriages, others into labor. The world will not pause for them, but she teaches as if they all will rise, as if they all will reach. Because hope here is not naive, it is revolutionary. And in every village meeting, in every prayer whispered around evening fires, in every mother's hands as she straightens a school shut by lantern light, there is belief that someday the walk will be shorter, the road safer, the school brighter, the children fuller, and even if it doesn't happen tomorrow, it will happen, because they are building it with each step. As darkness settles over NK, the stars return, fierce and bright, scattered across the sky like promises. The same stars that watched over Lemeyan at 4 a.m. now watch him sleep, his fingers curled beside a worn notebook, his breathing soft, steady, like the rhythm of the land itself. And far beyond the savannah, in places where the roads are lit and schools have libraries and children ride buses instead of walking beside lions, someone will hear this story and they will understand that greatness does not come from comfort. It comes from grit, from dust, from dreams, carried on bare feet across impossible distances. The story of Lemeyan, of Naserian, of Tepilit, of Ms. Nchama. It is not just the story of a village. It is the story of Africa's heartbeat. And it sings softly into the night. We are coming, step by step, hungry but unbroken, tired but unshaken. We are coming for a future we've never seen, but will one day hold in our hands. A lesson for modern day parents. The power of gratitude and understanding. In today's world, as parents, we often face the stresses of balancing work, home life, and our children's education. The challenges may seem overwhelming at times, whether it's navigating school projects, extracurricular activities, or simply managing screen time. But for many of us, these struggles are luxuries compared to what children in other parts of the world face in their pursuit of education. Imagine a child walking 60 kilometers under the searing African sun, dodging wild animals like lions, elephants, and hyenas just to attend school. These children wake up at 4 a.m., not because they have to finish homework or get to an extracurricular activity, but because education is their only hope for a better future. They don't have school buses to take them, or the luxury of a school down the road. They walk for miles, sometimes facing the threat of life-ending dangers, just to reach a classroom. In some parts of the world, these children risk their lives every single day to get the chance to learn. There are no snow days, no sick days, and no early school closings. Instead, there is the unyielding determination to attend school because education is their only weapon against poverty, hunger, and a life dictated by circumstance. These children, who endure the unimaginable, are heroes, silent warriors of the mind and spirit. They are not burdened by modern-day complaints like too much homework, social media distractions, or even the pressure of too many activities. They are focused on the one thing that could change their future: education. As modern parents, we often take the opportunities available to our children for granted. Our children might complain about going to school because it's boring or because they have too much homework. They might grumble about not having the latest gadgets or about their extracurricular activities feeling like a burden. But when we pause for a moment and think about what education means in places where it is not easily accessible, we realize just how fortunate we are. We must teach our children to appreciate the privilege they have. We must show them that their school, with all its comforts and resources, is a gift that many children can only dream of. Rather than allowing complaints to diminish their opportunities, we should remind them of the children who walk for miles under dangerous conditions, with nothing more than hope and determination in their hearts. In a world where instant access to information is at our fingertips and education is more accessible than ever, it is easy to forget that for some children, even the most basic right to learn is a battle. It is not enough to simply send our children to school and assume they will automatically appreciate it. We, as parents, must instill a sense of gratitude, a deep recognition of the sacrifices that others make to access what many of us take for granted. Let this reflection serve as a reminder that education is not just a right, it is a privilege. It is something that should never be taken lightly. Let us encourage our children to rise above their complaints and see the vastness of the world. How lucky they are to sit at a desk, to have access to books, to have teachers who care, and to be safe while pursuing their studies. In the midst of our daily challenges as parents, let us pause and be grateful for the fact that our children can attend school without fear of their lives. Let's raise them to appreciate their opportunities, to honor the struggle of those who came before them, and to understand that their education is the key to a better tomorrow for themselves and the world around them. It's easy to complain about the little things, but let us, as parents, teach our children to see the bigger picture, the resilience, courage, and strength of those who sacrifice everything to pursue education. In doing so, we can foster gratitude, respect, and a deeper understanding of the importance of what they have. And with this, we create a generation not only of students who appreciate their opportunities, but of leaders who will work to make the world a better place for those who still walk in the shadow of adversity.